Hi, in this video we'll talk about tasks. As discussed previously, notes can be used to communicate internally with staff members. Along with that, we can also create tasks to set up specific things that we need other people to do in the business. We usually recommend doing this and getting rid of the email back and forth internally, because that way the information gets lost. It creates clutter in your inbox, and it's not very efficient. So creating tasks for other people in the business replaces the sending of emails back and forth. To create a task within a record, which can be contact record, or now that we know there's a company record as well, we can create tasks in either of these spots. So we are going to create a task here under Brad Golchin as the contact. So we'll say, okay, we want to create a task for Brad to perhaps follow up with something, some information, follow up on some information about a client's GST. So in this case, we will just type in a subject line, follow up GST or BAS information. And under notes, we'd like to obviously give Brad as much information as possible, so then it avoids any future conflict on the level of information that he may have received in this. So we can say things like, client called, wants information on his GST. And let's say there's another staff member also working on this client. We can also tag that other staff member. So in this case, we will say there's myself working on it, so I'd like to tag myself. This will notify me, so it's essentially this staff member will be notified, but it will not create a task for the staff member. So just keeping someone else in the loop. So very similar to a carbon copy or a CC in an email, you're just keeping this other person in the loop as an FYI. With these tasks, you can do a few other things. For example, the due dates and times as well. So you can say, okay, well, there is a deadline on this task. Please complete it within 3 business days by a certain time. And to provide further clarity on this task, you can also say, okay, well, I'd like you to give this client a call or email or something, which is a to-do list. You can set certain different types of priorities. In this case, we've only got one option right now. And then it can be assigned to this particular staff member. So we'd like to assign it to Brad, so he receives it. And we can also select whether we want to send an email reminder along with the task popping into his task inbox, which I'll show in a few moments. But if we want the system to remind the user saying, hey, you've got a task that needs to be completed, that can also be done just from here on a certain date or a custom date. Now, when we do this, we hit the Save Task button. The task appears under Activity. Again, this can be associated with different parts of the system. For example, in this case, we've got this task associated with the contact, the company, and also the deal. This can also be associated with the company. So if we then pop into the company side, we'll also be able to see the task right here. Further, if we want to add any additional detail, we can also do that. We can edit the task. If you've forgotten some information that needed to be added, we can also edit the task and drop that information in here. And again, we've got some formatting options here, so it can be formatted along with any specific images or attachments or any snippets that we need to drop. We can do so for our communication with this internal staff. Now, for yourself and also for other staff members, the way to view all these tasks in one spot is also possible. So we just click on the sales button here at the top and then select tasks, and all the tasks that have been allocated to this person will be displayed. We can see all the tasks for all staff members or the ones that have been allocated to ourselves, with the different priorities as well. So we can filter them by a certain type of priority or a certain type of task, whether it's an email or a call that needs to be actioned and at what time. We can edit the columns, which columns we want to display here right at the top. So in this case, we've got status, title, type, priority associated with which contact and the due date, but we can edit these columns and add additional columns as well. We can also change the way this is displayed. So from a table to a board, which then allows us to drag and drop the progress of these tasks. So in this case, right now it's not started, but once we start working through these tasks, it can then be moved to different stages. And all of these stages can also be customized. On the left-hand side, we can drill further into, or we can filter our tasks based on whether they are overdue or which ones are due on a certain date or which week. Once we have these tasks, that there might be a day where we decide, okay, well, today we are going to complete all our previously overdue tasks. So what we can do is simply just hit the Start Queue button, which then turns it into a something like a loop. So the first task opens up, we act on this, and when this task is complete, we just move on to the next one. So in order to complete this task, let's say we have followed up the GST information or the BAS information, we have contacted the client, we're simply going to mark this as done or mark as complete. And this bar turns from blue to green. It's taking some time today. Actually, there's another task, so we'll mark this as complete as well. So both of these tasks have been completed, and then we move on to the next task if there is one. In this case, we don't have any other overdue tasks, so we're just going to hit finish, which then allows us to finalize all our tasks as completed.